righty, folks. Welcome back to the Mushing Alaska podcast. I'm your host, Brendan, and unfortunately, only introducing myself for this one. I'll explain that, and we'll kind of keep this intro on the shorter side, especially compared to what Sean and I normally do. For this episode with Connor McMahon and with the intro as well, we unfortunately we had some issues on the recording side of things, and I was able to save our interview with Connor, and I'll kind of talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But I wasn't able to save the intro with Sean. It was just really bad, and I don't want to get lost in that. But that being said, in an effort to get this episode out to you guys as quickly as possible, Sean's literally in the process of coming to Atlanta right now. He's going to be hanging out with the family for about 10 days, which we're looking forward to. So I figure, you know what, let me just hop on here. Let me do my best to kind of recreate our intro. I recognize that you guys probably don't listen to this podcast for me whatsoever. My role more is to ask certain questions, maybe get certain information out of folks, whether it's Sean, whether it's the guest, but I don't necessarily feel like I'm the most knowledgeable in terms of the mushing scene. So I'll do my best to kind of recreate this and kind of summarize a little bit of what Sean said. Again, we've already done this intro together, but unfortunately it didn't record as we were hoping. So with that being said, we had a couple of news and highlights, if you will. And unfortunately, there were a couple of more on the sad side or on the negative side of the news. And well, there was the passing of a musher named Leandre Dementiev. And I hope that is how his name is said. As a young musher, I think it was either the Cusco or it was one of the it was that or another race that had made the post about his passing, and don't know too much information. I know that there was some sort of an accident, but don't know any of the details behind that, and so I don't really want to speculate on it. But we are attempting to do our best at bringing news to those who listen to us, and so it was something that we at least wanted to bring up. And if more information becomes available, I'm sure it's something that we can discuss. But at least wanted to make sure that it's brought up. The next thing that was kind of on the more sad or negative side or unfortunate was, and this is probably a little bit more widely known, and that was the incident on the Denali Highway involving Dallas CV's team. So he's out there doing a series he was out there. He's got two handlers, Isaac Tieford, who's also a rookie running the Iditarod this year, and Josiah, I forget his last name right now, but nonetheless, they're out there running three different teams. And yeah, they got Josiah's team was hit and killed multiple dogs. And so Sean and I kind of talked a little bit more about that. He has a lot more details with the names and such. I know that Oreo passed and Olaf passed. And those are dogs that Sean has firsthand experience with, as well as other dogs that were injured or still recovering. There were several dogs that were going to have to be amputated, whether it was fully, up to their the joint, or maybe they might have like partial use of some of their legs. It is such an unfortunate incident. One thing that I asked Sean was, I asked him about his experience on the Denali Highway, which he has spent countless runs and hours on that highway. And it wasn't a straightaway. So it wasn't like the person was coming and you could see it from far away. What Sean said is that Josiah had about a 3 count. And from the moment he saw the snow machiners to being impacted, and, the dogs were impacted. Josiah also got hit. He flew off. Luckily he's not got, from my knowledge, not got too many bad injuries, so he should be okay. But yeah, I mean, just what a horrific incident and something that could be completely avoided. I think the message there is just to be more careful, not drinking, not driving. And, my heart goes out to just anyone that is involved in an accident like that. It's a freak accident. We've seen other stories with it. Sean talked about with the Allie King or Jeff King and Allie Zirkle incident. I think that was maybe 2016. And it's unfortunate. It's something that can totally be avoided. And that's one thing that Sean also made clear. It's not like this highway is small. It's pretty wide. The dogs were unusually on the furthest right side of this as they could get. So the fact that the musher coming at them was would have been all the way on their left side. Just it's a frustrating thing. And so I don't want to talk too much about it without Sean. But it's certainly something that I wanted to bring up. Again, I'm just trying to do my part here to do some justice to some things that we discussed. The last thing we discussed was more on the positive side, and that was more musher signups for the Iditarod. We had the 34th, 35th, and 36th signups, and that is, I think that's largely due in part to the fact that the November 30th cutoff is coming up. And actually, as I'm recording this now, just the intro, not the interview with Connor, it is the 30th. And so the significance of that is it's $4,000. The cost of the race is $4,000 to sign up by the 30th, by today. And then after that, it goes up to $8,000. And so who knows, I'm recording this almost at in the 11 o'clock hour on the East Coast. So it's bright and early there in Alaska. And maybe by the end of the day, there might be another sign up or two. I know Sean and I had kind of discussed in our previous episodes some possibilities of some names that we might see. So the names that we had were Paige Drobny, and Sean has firsthand experience with Paige and has great things to say about her. Perennial name in the mushing scene, so it's great to see someone that is as well loved and well known as her sign up for the race. We're excited to root her on. The next was Sean Williams, and this is his third race, and he's running it as a rookie. And so I'll do my best to do this justice. I believe it's 20. He signed up. Unfortunately, literally right before the race started, his mother passed, and so he did not end up starting that race. And so obviously, you got to do what you got to do, and totally understand that decision. I believe he also signed up in 21, and in 21, my understanding is that he did the race, but unfortunately he had to scratch. And I don't know the details behind that. That's usually the part where Sean comes in. And so this is his third run, his third attempt at it, and we're excited to root him on. I think part of his story that Sean, my brother Sean, not Sean Williams. Sean is close to Matt Paveglio, and that's a rookie his rookie run in the Iditarod was last year. And so I know that Matt Paveglio is working with Sean Williams. They're training their teams together. Or I don't know if I have that right. I think it's Sean's team that Matt is helped train, or I don't know exactly their setup, but nonetheless, they're working together. And so naturally we root everyone on that we have on this podcast. There's not a reason to not want everyone to succeed. It's what, makes it fun, makes it entertaining. It's what's best for the sport as well. So yeah. And then the last person was Josh McNeil. And I know Sean has had a couple run-ins with him along over the years and had some fun stories there. So I think that, those are some names that we also might try to attempt to get on the show down the road as well. So, so those are the kind of some of the highlights that Sean and I discussed. And then, I'll just kind of introduce this interview with Connor McMahon. Again, he is a rookie out of Canada. I believe it's in Whitehorse, or maybe about an hour south of Whitehorse. He lives remotely off the grid. One thing that kind of stood out to me is he talked about he has, and Sean jokes about it in the intro, this podcast brought to you by Elon Musk. He has Starlink, and he talks about the ability of just turning it on and off. So it's like, he talks like, oh yeah, I just turn it off. But then like, if I go too long and I'm like, maybe I need to check some emails or do this, that, and the other. Just funny to kind of hear him say like, yeah, then I turn it on. But then if I get down, like stuck in the worm, go down the hole too much or whatever, then I just turn it off. And that's a nice thing too. So the thing that Sean and I discussed that was a funny thing that stood out to Sean was he talks about, the part of the season of training before you are on the sled. So everyone's on their side by side or their four wheelers or whatever you have, right? And it sounds like Connor's kind of balling on a budget, right? He's completely doing this by himself, which is kudos to him. I had to go off to him there, but he doesn't have the type of budget to afford talks about something that's $3,000, something that's $12,000. Instead, he has a small, tiny ass truck that's like 5 feet tall, and the transmission's busted. Bought it for about $300. And with that, it gets out of first and second gear, which is all you need. And it's just hilarious because he's like, I've got heat, I've got music, I've got a windshield, I've got wipers. Why would you pay all that money to not have a windshield? So it just was kind of funny. And super nice guy, great listen. And we're rooting him on, like I said, just as we are everyone else. So I hope you guys enjoy. And we'll have Sean back for the intro for the next one. Don't you guys worry. But thanks and enjoy. All righty, Connor, welcome to the Mushing Alaska podcast. Thank you for joining us. How you doing, man?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Just drinking coffee, admiring your painting of what appears to be British Columbia mountains behind you, feeling good.
I painted that.
Oh, nice, dude.
Nice.
No, I didn't.
You got me.
I think it was here when I got here. But yeah.
Okay, nice. Is this so? We've talked, but we talked before, and we had really shitty connection. Now we have slightly less shitty connection. This podcast is brought to you by Elon Musk. Anyways, Connor's got the Elon Musk internet, which I believe is called Starlink.
Yeah,
this is pretty amazing.
It's nice to have. We don't even have cell service here, so to be able to, a little bit of a hassle to get it going sometimes, but
yeah, I can imagine that's a huge game changer. And I feel like you might be thinking initially like, I was more like connected with my surroundings and stuff without the internet. And now I got this distraction. But
because it turns on and off, so it's really easy, right? Like, just turn it off and then, he started kind of get that little panic inside, like, I wonder if there's any emails. So turn it on and then it doesn't work. Nice. You can see the emails, you forget to respond to them, and then 3 weeks later, you're finally,
emails. Nice.
That's a different lifestyle.
Is this do you own this property and cabin?
No, I don't own nothing. But
you don't own anything, you have zero things, not a single
truck
thing.
and a dog team, that's it.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So, we talked about like your origin story last time, but it was tough to kind of get it all figured out with the connection issues you were having. So why don't we just kind of start from ground zero and you worked for Aaron Peck, the a perennial top 10, top 20 musher. And, he's also super Canadian. You guys are so Canadian. It's awesome. And and then from there, just kind of take me from your process to now you have your team in the Iditarod. You ran a couple of qualifiers with Aaron.
Yeah. So Aaron got me hooked, got me started on it. And I kind of had like a puppy team in the works while I was with Aaron. After the first year, I ended up with this team of puppies from Cody Lee. He was another fishing guide. We worked at the same lodges, always around each other. And he's like, man, I want to fish more. And I'm like, I want to fish less and do more dogs stuff. So we just kind of, he just kind of passed the torch on to me there. And I was like, 17 or 18 pups I had. And I mean, like, it was nice because being able to work with Aaron and see the guidance and, it wasn't that much of a stress. I come from like a guard dog background, bite work dog. So the bigger the kennel size was never anything. And then we came up here to the Yukon and things have just been awesome ever since. Like the neighbors you got here and the trails and I can't see. This is the place to be. This is the end of the travel story, I think, for me and the team.
Right on. Go ahead, Brendan.
I was going to say, that's awesome. I was just kind of curious, where are you from originally?
I was born and raised Southern Ontario, and then in Alberta for my early 20s, and then Northwest Territories. From there,
Gotcha.
and then Northwest Territories is where I started working with the dogs. Like, for real, Aaron brought me out on a team, and was able to retire my old Malamute after a couple of years, and that's where it all started, was in like Yellowknife area, so just nice and flat and big lakes, Great Slave Lakes right there. So mushing on that, and
I have a few friends that have participated in a sled dog race in Yellowknife. Have you been around that event?
There's a couple up there. Which one?
I don't know. What's I guess their mainstream, event of the winter.
Well, the big popular one right now that's really taking off is the Underdog 100.
Okay.
It's a really cool race. It's on Great Slave Lake. Yeah.
Right on. What do you love about it?
I don't know. I've never done it. I'm not allowed to do that race actually. So maybe one day if Marcel lets me in there, I'll come over and do it. So we'll see.
Okay. Who's Marcel?
Oh, Marcel Martin. He's the one that runs it there. And me and one of the sponsors used to work for one of the sponsors, and we have a little bit of a history. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, sometimes there's always one thing I've learned about being in the mushing world is there's always somebody
it's a small world
who's got something with somebody.
Yeah.
And someone, it's like, and I'm just trying, dude, me and Brendan are just here. We just want to talk about dogs and sled dogs and mushing.
We just want to meet you guys. We want to hear some stories, man. That's it. We don't want to get involved in the politics
but
or the drama.
Maybe we're in it. I don't know. But
it's a fun race. It looks like a super cool time. And me in the race with Marcel, we're good and everything. And just, the one sponsor doesn't want me over there. He hosts the banquet and stuff. And,
yeah.
Hey, so I wanted to ask, how did you and Aaron Peck cross paths? Was it something where you were interested in learning and you were seeking him out, or did it kind of happen by chance?
No, I was up on Enoda Island on Great Slave Lake. I was guiding. And we had a fishing tournament derby kind of thing at the end of the year, and Aaron and his wife came in as guests, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is Aaron. He's dog musher. He's done the Iditarod." I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." Didn't really get much of a chance to talk to him. He had another guide, and then I think he came back a little bit later on because he had a deal going with the owner to do some tours out of there. And then we got to meet later, and my friend Sam had to talk him and my other boss into it, but he's like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, you can come work with us this winter. And I was like, all right. Came, and then, took me on a run, and that was that.
Nice.
Damn. Nice.
And were you hooked? Like, was your intention to like start running races or potentially look at the Quest or the Iditarod? Was that like instant or?
No, not at all. Like I was hooked from like my time with my Malamute, right? Like I love being out there on the dog, and we were just out ice fishing, right? That's like how I started mushing, was just getting my big Malamute to pull me and my hut around ice fishing. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah. These sled dogs are great. You know, you just keep them happy and they eat, and you train them a left and a right and they run straight. And this is great. And then what got me hooked on the racing was the Caledonia Classic when Aaron brought me there. Cause I don't know, I've never been a competitive person or like, you know, being in like the spotlight or nothing like that. And I thought that, you know, racing was going to be like kind of like that, like back into the sports world. And then we went out, and the first checkpoint was so awesome. You know, Jerry Joinson and Aaron and I forget who else was there, but we were just kind of sitting around looking at the dogs, talking about dogs. And I was like, wait, we got like 2 or 3 more checkpoints. Like this is just great. Look at all these dog teams out here. And that's what really got me, was like seeing the other dog teams on the trail. And that's what hooked me on the racing, was the trail time, right? Like being out there with other teams, seeing other teams. And
I mean, that's like something that I think that like a lot of people that are getting into mushing, and they're just like, I just like being out there with the dogs, and you know, I don't really want to race. And it's like, well, the races aren't like, they're not really races if you don't want them to be. Like,
no,
if you don't want it.
Yeah, like I have that conversation with some rec mushers and stuff sometimes. They're like, you know, I just want to do like expeditions with my dogs. And it's like, okay, well, when was the last time you had like a 300-mile trail that you could go on an expedition on? Like it's right there, right?
It's the cheapest way that you're going to go and get to do some grand adventure with your dogs, and the safest way. And you're going to have, you know, veterinarians and a marked trail and resupply points. And it's like, all right, you don't have to, like,
and dog people to enjoy it with, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, I don't really be interested in racing. It's like, I've never really actually raced. I mean, I've never been in a race and actually like tried to be competitive. You know, I'm just like out there like, this is sick, dude. Look at all these people around. And
I find like go-karts or like, you know, maybe like sprint racing, like that is really like racing, right? Like, you know, your fast goggles on and stuff, but like.
We can put goggles on still, but
the
reality is
aerodynamic.
There's not, it's really not that, like, you know, you only racing if you want to be racing. And that's almost like a misnomer to call a sled dog race a race for most of the people in these events. You know, you're just trying to have fun with your team out on the trail. And sure, there is like a little bit of okay, maybe you don't want to start writing your memoir on the trail yet. You know, maybe you should you know, move it along a little bit faster than that. But so I'm curious about, you said security dogs?
Yeah.
Let's go down that rabbit hole real quick. What's going on? What kind of dogs were those? Like German Shepherds or something, or what?
A lot of Belgian Malinois, German Shepherds, a little bit of like Rottweiler, Doberman, Cane Corso, but mostly Belgian Malinois and German Shepherds. So probably from the time I was like 15, 16, I somehow ended up into that and started doing that. And then, when I kind of left Ontario, I kind of got away and got out of that. It was, that's a really interesting hardcore world as well, right? So that was...
Yeah, were you wearing like the full body suit where they attack you?
Yeah, we've done decoy work and stuff like that, yeah. So it's kind of funny when like my Huskies fight or get into it. It's, you guys are... That was really cute.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, dude. I imagine those dogs are literally trained to attack criminals, right?
Yeah.
You know,
but they're the exact same as like the Huskies, right? Like they're not like thugs or anything like that. That's just their job, right? Like
right. Yeah, that makes sense. And I wouldn't want to be on the wrong end of one of those dogs. But that's funny. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, you know, my first winter working with dogs was like I was so intimidated. Like, you know, like with sled dogs and like fighting, like, dude, oftentimes they just kind of like look like they're fighting and sound like they're fighting, but they're really actually not fighting.
Yeah, it's a really high energy, and well, especially if you don't know the dynamics of a yard, right? Like, it's like, oh, those two are brothers, and that's what they've done since they've been like 2 months old, right? Like, they're good. It's not going anywhere, right? But you don't know that, and like, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. I remember I had two brothers, Ben and Jerry, and they always, every time we went on the run, you know, right at the beginning, they're literally both their mouths wide open, like, you know, pretty much teeth are touching. You know, and you're like, you know, everyone
trap shot, right? Like,
yeah. So, you know, and then there's like other dogs, like, and like, all right, if they're fighting, I got to be a little bit more on it, you know.
Yeah, and it's just so much more subtle. Like, you wouldn't see it coming. It's just maybe like a little sideways glance at each other, and
right.
Yeah.
And so that's, you know, that's funny though that you're like, oh yeah, these guys, these little tiny tiffs and whatever are nothing compared to the security dog lifestyle.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense introduction to dogs.
And how long were you doing that for?
On and off for a number of years. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so now you own your own dog team, correct?
Yep.
But you don't. You're squatting you're renting the property, kind of whatever. Something in there.
I'm actually renting this place. This is my first time renting in a long while, so
right on.
Feels nice, actually. You know, not like I actually own it, but it's like I'm supposed to.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah. I mean, as a renter, you know, me and you, we don't have to. We can just start tearing shit apart inside of our houses. Whereas Brendan, as a homeowner, and that's kind of a bummer being a homeowner, Brendan. You know, you got to deal with the
water
depreciation of your house. Like, geez, that must be a bummer.
I can't just like pick up the phone and be like, hey, so right now
I'm moving out.
No. I can't be like, hey, there's a hole in the ceiling. Can you come fix it? No, instead I have to take care of it myself. It's
you can do that when you're renting?
I mean, you probably can.
All right, I got a phone call after this.
Yeah. Call the owner and just say, how badly, like, can I tear this place apart? You know. So
no, it's a pretty sweet little property I'm on here. There's a bunch of mushers around and retired mushers and stuff living here. So it's
I just saw like another car crush musher shine up for the 450.
Yeah.
And I don't know that, like, I mean, I don't know. I'm meeting you right now, kind of, and I don't really know that whole Yukon scene very well.
It's a pretty sweet little corner, right? Like, Michelle Phillips right there. Sebastian Snool has a firewood keeping house right around the corner. Hans Gott lives right here. William Cleeden, Jerry Wilmeister's around. Like, there's Brian Wilmhurst is in Dawson. Like, there's a good number of mushers around this area, so it's kind of been a nice little spot to sit and hang out. There's lots of good neighbors.
And I'm sure you guys are all helping each other out. And that's like, I mean, especially if someone's, you know, if you just got your team and if you're out there alone and there's no neighbors.
I couldn't do it without them. Like,
yeah. You know, they're out there maintaining the trail and helping you out with maybe where to go and when to go and you know, all kinds of great information. I'm sure a lot of those guys have been there for more than a couple years and know everything there is to know about how to thrive. Yeah, not just survive, but how to thrive in the winter.
Yeah, it's been as easy as it could possibly be, I believe, for having a dog team. Reasonably.
So when it comes to, you said that they're your dogs. Are you doing all the training by yourself? Do you have any help?
No, I do all the training miles and everything like that by myself. This year I actually have someone that's probably going to start helping me out running the dogs and training. So just because I got 22 like race dogs now. So it's been a lot for the last few years, like running 2 teams. Like last year I had a lot of dogs in the kennel. They all weren't mine, but I was watching some dogs. And it's a lot running more than one team. So this year I'm going to try with somebody else, but yeah, it's been me. I've had my good buddy Andy, like my childhood buddies, help me on all the race end stuff. So like getting my drop bags together, he always drives my dog truck. Like, so that's always been there. And then on like the day-to-day stuff, this is all I do. So I can't justify having a full-time handler, right? Like I don't have stuff for them to do. Like,
Right.
can only scoop the yard so many times.
Yeah. I guess so. Then you work, like your income is in the summer, I guess.
Yeah, I just try to make as much money as I can in the summer, and if I run out of money in the winter, do some bootleg tours and get the cash flow back up.
Right on.
Nice.
Yeah, it's probably nice getting some help when it gets to peak training and getting all your dog food and dog gear and human gear lined up. Brandon, Go ahead.
So I just wanted to ask you to kind of talk a little bit about, like, we kind of hit a little bit, you met Aaron, and slowly but surely you kind of got introduced into the race scene, if you will. But tell us a little bit maybe about your qualifiers and kind of like when you were like, hey, maybe I should try to do that Iditarod or the Quest or something.
Yeah, so like as soon as I got hooked in racing, it was kind of like right away I wanted to do like the biggest and the longest one that you can do, right? So it was automatically like Quest and Iditarod. And then initially the goal is the Quest because it was like seemed like a lot just closer and less expensive and right there and in the Yukon, and I was like, all right. But then, the 1,000-mile went away, so we just quickly switched and sweet, we got to do the Iditarod first, right? So, yeah, then we went right to that. But the qualifiers took quite a bit. So, it just felt like the Quest was a lot more achievable, closer. It's still on both sides of the border, but then, with the 1,000-mile going away, it was just great. Yeah, let's just hop right into the Iditarod and go and do that. And, I had the right sponsors this year. Klondike Cream and Candy just sent me over there with the entry fee. So
Klondike is sponsoring you? How did you pull this off?
Klondike Cream and Candy. It's the ice cream store in Dawson City.
It's not the Klondike.
It's not the Klondike.
No.
It's Klondike Cream and Candy.
Can we come up with like a knockoff of their song? Like, what would you do?
We're a Klondike bar.
But it has to be like slightly different so that it's not copyright infringed.
They got Dilly Pops, man. They're better than the Klondike bars.
What would you do for a Dilly Pop? Something like that.
Dilly Pops.
There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We got lost there for a second.
That's cool, man. Yeah, the idea on like every race that you've ever done, I'm guessing, has been a handler race, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember like Riley Dyke, I'm sure you met him at the sign up or whatever. And he was like, and I didn't really think about it. Like while I was in the race, I was like, yeah, why do I feel like so incredibly alone right now? I mean, I'm with my dogs and stuff, but then we were like halfway through and he's like, yeah, it's true. Like you don't like once you leave the start line, you don't really like see anyone that for like the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's pretty sick when you get to the checkpoint. Like, I don't know, when I ran the Copper Basin, like my mom visited from Atlanta. She's like at the checkpoint. I'm like, hey, Mom. I'm like, that's all I do is just say hi. And I don't really talk to them for more than a minute or two because I got to go to sleep.
Yeah, it would just be the mental of it, right?
Yeah, it's just nice to see a face that's familiar. Yeah. But, you'll see some familiar faces, certainly, but, they're fewer and far between.
Yeah, so that would be difficult, especially because it's been like one of my childhood best buddies that's always been there, right? So like it's sometimes like coming back from a run, it's like, oh no, I don't really want to see Andy right now. I know I messed up, and
That's
But
funny.
it's like real nice too to have him there, right? Because he knows me better than I think anybody, right? So you can just see on my face where I'm actually at, and yeah, so
Nice.
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
So go ahead, Brennan.
Well, we gotta go down the whole. Again, this is a little bit of up your without phone service, all that money on you. Like, geez, man, just sharing with the listeners.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I recall, you said that you kind of like came over to Alaska like on a certain type of flight or something, or what were you doing there?
Yeah, it was like a chartered flight for like one of the cruise ships there. So I got onto that flight, got over to Fairbanks. I think I landed like the middle of the day, and Laura was working, or he was tied up with something till later on. Like he said 6 or 6:30 maybe. And it's like, well, just like, I'll pick you up at the Oasis. It's like, I think it's like one of the closest bars or restaurants there to the airport. So I just walked around for a couple hours in Fairbanks through these parks. Like, I'll go check out some parks. But like, I had a backpack full of cash to go sign up for the Iditarod, because Canada, and then you get your tips and American money and stuff like that. So everybody threw in all this American money into this backpack, and like it was all like 1s and 5s. Like I went to sign up like 1s and 5s and 10s. There's a couple 20s in there, and you get some 20s for tips sometimes. But yeah, it was mostly 1s and 5s and 10s and stuff. So it was like a full backpack of money, and that's all I had with me. And I was walking around, and I was like, oh man, all right, I think I'll head over to the Oasis. And then Laurel must have come when I was on a bathroom break, or somehow we missed each other. And then I was sitting there, and my phone doesn't work because I'm in Alaska, and that's America, and it just, it wasn't working. So I was sitting there, I was like 12:30 at night. I'm like, oh no, like I'm in a bad place. Like, not a bad place. Like Fairbanks is great, right? But like, I'm like, I need to be in Anchorage. And so I was trying to make a plan B there, and then all of a sudden I just, Laura with big hands there on my back. He's like, there's my Canadian. Come on, bud, let's go. Pops me in this U-Haul, and I'm like, oh, buddy.
Good to see you.
That's great, man. Next morning I wake up, we're at the sign up for the Iditarod, and I was like, oh, yeah, wow.
That had to be such a whirlwind of like just emotions, just like you're coming here, you're trying to sign up.
Right? And because I wasn't planning on going to sign up or anything like that. It was just Brian Wilmhurst, right? One of my sponsors. He owns Klondike Cream and Candy. He's just like, ready to go to sign up? I'm like, what? Like, no, that's in Alaska, man. He's like, yeah, you're getting on the go, gone. Like, okay, here I am. I'm sitting at Oasis the next day. Like, do I hitchhike to Anchorage? Like, how am I going to get there?
You could have, maybe.
We pulled it off.
That's amazing. That's gonna be an all-time story for the rest of your life. It's a good thing Brian made you do that. And
definitely appreciative.
How is I don't know, you got a backpack full of cash. Like, when you like gave the money to the Iditarod, was it like you just slapped a bag on the table like, here it is?
No, I was all sheepish about it, right? Because I had to do all the paperwork and stuff too. So I was like, oh man, this is going to be taking me forever. I probably can't even read it. I got to count all these 1s in front of them. And I like my shoes off and stuff. No. I was a little sheepish about it. I was like, man, I don't want to be accused of like some sort of drug dealer or something, having all this cash. And Canadian guys need to tip money.
This is clean money. Right? It's funny. I'm sure that you made quite the impression with your bag of money and your all-nighter with Laura, and in the Iditarod community. People are going to be excited to see you here in March, I think.
Yeah, it's looking forward to it.
We've had like a few, we've asked in the past, would be like, who is interested in who do you want us to interview next? And like your name has come up a few different times from a few different people. So clearly you must have made an impression. I was curious if there was any other fun stories or anything about sign up or like a musher that you met that you were like, oh, that was kind of nice to meet them, or just anything along those lines.
Yeah, it was actually the road trip with Laura was super cool. It was really cool to connect with him, and like seems like I don't know, we kind of have the same outlook on dogs and running and stuff like that, and like the same style of dogs. So that was really interesting to meet him, and like, you know, we're both rookie year, right? So it was kind of like, you know, we went through that sign up thing together. So it was like the first step. It was like, all right, like that was fun, man. Let's see what else there is.
Nice. Yeah. The rookie meeting's coming up soon, I think, right? Yeah,
it is. I gotta make my way over to Anchorage. So
you got to do it in person.
Yeah, we got to do it in person.
I was looking at
that's a less eventful, just smooth run over, quick travel time back, get it out of the way. You know, bring my notebook, get all the information in the brain I need to.
Yeah. I only went to one. I did the 2 races.
Yeah.
But for the first one was the last minute fill in, and the second one they still weren't doing it in person. So I was like fresh off a run on the Denali Highway, and you know,
just jump on.
Hadn't slept much, and you know, Al Ishins is like giving me his sage wisdom, and I was like, dude, I was just like, you know, there wasn't a PowerPoint or nothing. Dude, I was pretty. It was like at least a couple hours, you know.
Okay, it was like at least 2 hours after a run.
Yeah, and I was definitely, and for some reason, like I don't know what I was thinking, like I just should have turned the camera off, but I had like the camera on me, and I'm just like nodding off, and Al was like, "Yo, dude, like, can you just stay awake, man?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll turn the camera off." My bad, you know. That's funny.
Note to self, Connor: don't fall asleep like Sean.
Right? That's why it's in person now. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, it'll be a little more engaging in person. You know, and not a knock to Al. Like it was good information, good beta. You know.
Yeah, but after a run, right? You know, it's probably nice and warm.
Yeah, I was sitting in the warm truck. Yeah, and I think Dallas is next to me taking a nap. That didn't help. You know, he's napping. I'm not.
Yeah.
But so you know, your dog. Like I think it's something I wish we asked like every guest, and we've asked a few. But like, what's like if you're, you know, you probably have been around a lot of like casual dog owners, people that just own a dog. You know, and I feel like 90% of dog owners are like not. You know. They're like, I'm not sure how to like be a dog owner. And I was been one of those most of my life until I started working all day, every day with dogs. And you just really get a good idea of what's going on in their brains.
Yeah.
But like, you know, what's like an advice that you would give to like a casual dog owner, you know, something that you may have learned working with dogs for as many years and as many thousands of hours as you probably have. Like what's like you know, something that you'd be like, you know, this is something to keep in mind, you know?
Yeah, just like, because it's never the dog, there's no bad dog. There's not a bad dog. There's just bad training or there's bad circumstances or environment for the dog. So, like, if there's a problem, to just break it down into steps. And then some things are worth trying to train. And some things are just worth the control. So, I guess, yeah, don't try to overtrain. That would be the most basic thing, right? Like,
yeah, it's definitely the sled dog adage that I've heard out of so many mushers' mouths. It's I think it originally from one of the, you know, OG mushers. I can't remember who, but it's never the dog's fault. You know, like even if it looks like on every other way that it was like you know. Well, they were in that situation. You could have seen that situation coming. You know, right, whatever it is they did that was wrong or whatever. So it could have been. You know, it's never on them. It's always on.
No, it's not. It's
some kind of external. It's usually on you. You know, it's the reality.
It's always. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's good. That's good advice. And what's like, let's highlight some dogs. Like I know that, once we get mushers going on dogs, you could just kill the next 26 minutes of just talking about each of your dogs.
I got a whole bunch of characters on my team. Speaking of dogs, go away. Yeah, there's a bunch of characters. Like they all grew up together, right? So there's a lot of siblings in my team. There's a lot of like half siblings and stuff like that. So the synergy is really there. Like I really like the fact that they are a team. Really, at the end of the day, like that's what they are. Like it's not going to be my best 16 that I'll bring. It's just going to be my best 16 that work the best together. So, there's like I really like my lead dogs. I don't really run any other dogs in lead. Like I have a ton of other leaders that I'll run other teams with, but normally if my lead dogs are in the team, they just want to run leads too. So that's all they'll do. Mako and Grotto are my lead dogs.
Mako and Grotto.
Yeah.
Are they like, I've seen this really hilarious video from Rob Cook, and this is like imprinted in my head from like 2-3 years ago of him taking a video of his dog team, and he took like his perennial leader, like his always trusty lead dog that he never takes out of lead, and he put the dog in wheel, and they hadn't run at all yet, so they're in the yard, so the stoke is high, the dogs are all barking and screaming.
The team wouldn't lead.
He goes down like the whole like line. The lead dogs that replaced this dog are doing fine. They're doing every dog's doing just fine, and they go back all the way down the line of a 16 dog team to the wheel dog, and it's just this one dog that's like never been taken out of lead, and he's just the only dog that's just like looking down, like won't even like look, won't even look Rob in the eye. Won't even look Rob in the eye. Like, dude, what the fuck, dude? I'm a fucking lead dog. What are you doing? What do you put me down here, back here? And it was like the most hilarious, like just so dramatic. And he has Siberian Huskies, which like, I've never worked with like the working Siberian Husky, but I know like the casual Siberian has just got such added, like an extra bit of attitude, and like they're very funny, sass, and so that's just like that kind of embodied that a little bit, but that was just one of the most hilarious images that comes to mind. So I'm curious, like, if you ever take your dogs, your Mako, Grotto, if you take them out of lead, are they like, yo, like, are they kind of giving you a little bit of like, yo, man?
I've threatened Mako with it before. I've never done it with Mako. Grotto's run point for me a couple times, just like on a smaller team, if I really need some extra power, because he goes absolutely ballistic if you take him out of lead. Like he'll he'll go from a nice trot or a canter to just won't stop driving. He's furious. He's trying to stretch the rope to get back up there.
And point, Brennan, you know what running point is?
Running point? I don't know what running point is.
Connor?
So it's your dog just behind your lead dog. I call it point. Some people call it swing. But yeah, so it's right behind your lead dog is your point dog. Okay. And if you put him back there, you can only do it with the right leader in front, because they'll just stop. They'll lay down. If Grotto's behind them, he's pretty intense guy. So
the lead dogs will be like, I don't want this guy.
I only have like one or two dogs that will run in front of Grotto.
Yeah, it's good. My understanding, it was like if you ever are testing lead dogs, it's good to have like, you're like, I don't know if this dog is a good lead dog. They've got very limited experience. They maybe haven't done this particular run or whatever. And you're like, but I think they'll do good, but I'm not sure. Then it's like, I always would put like the super experienced leaders right behind them, so that if they do make a wrong turn or hesitate or whatever, and they kind of look back and you see these guys confidently going one way or whatever, they're like, oh, okay. It's just like a little, like, you don't want 4 dogs hesitating in the front of the team.
No, it makes a huge difference. And that's why I really like good swing dogs and point dogs too, right? That aren't going to take that command on their own. They're going to follow the leader's command into it. And I find that really puts your leaders at ease. New
Right.
or old leaders, right?
Yeah, and you know, like another great video is Amanda Otto. She was running some dogs recently, and no necklines, and said G, you know, and every single dog, like, you know, the gang line's like straight ahead, and so, but the gang line didn't really move, but every single dog just went, you know, just straight to the right. They all, like, no one waited for like, where are we going? They all heard G. They've all been in lead.
Yeah.
Maybe not everybody's a great leader, but
they
all kind of
know what
command.
they know what they're doing, right? Yeah.
And so it's good to, like, you know, it's interesting. Like, this is one of those philosophies that I've seen, like, a lot of people that just they have these dogs that are comfortable running all of the Iditarod in lead, if, you know, and they don't mentally, like, the mental wear of lead, like, for certain lead dogs, if you put them in lead, they're like, wow, that was really stimulating. Like, I've been in lead all day today. Like, I wouldn't mind stepping back and, like, just chilling out in the middle of the team maybe tomorrow. Other dogs have that ego of, like, yo, if you take me out of lead, I'm going to be pissed. You know, but there's, like, certain mushers that love to have those, like, don't fix it if it ain't broke. Like, keep the dog that's crushing it in lead up in lead. And others are like, we want to balance out. I want to save my great, incredible leaders for the end of the race. You know, it's like, what? I don't, you know, it's just
I hear
so
about
nuanced.
it a lot. I hear about it a lot, right? Oh, you got them up there again, eh? So, yeah. I really like them. It's like, and I got others. Yeah, go ahead.
It sounds like you've tried to not put them in lead, and what you're describing doesn't sound like something you want to deal for too long of a run, you know?
Yeah, like if I'm running my other leaders, I'll just leave them at home and I'll run them on a separate team. That's what I really like about me doing all the miles too, right? Like, I don't have an A and a B team, and just have whatever I'm kind of feeling I can put together and run it for whatever purposes I need to build that team that way for. So, but yeah, because it's really nice having them up there in lead. So
it sounds like specifically to your two leaders, it sounds like you have backups, you know, or you at least have been training other dogs to the point where they are.
Yeah. And, like, I've run Grotto single for races before, and I run Mako single lead for races before as well. And they will work with other combinations of dogs up there, right? Like, say we hit, like, heavy snow and snow drifts and stuff. Like, Mako's a little tiny female. She doesn't do well up there, so she just hops in the bag, and Grotto just plows through it all. He absolutely loves snow drift.
Hops in the bag? Your dog just comes into the sled?
Yeah, Mako will ride in the bag, right? Instead of, like, me having her up there and getting beat up in the team or bounced around through the big heavy stuff, because she's my smallest dog, right? Other than my wheel dogs, they're about the same size. But yeah, I just hop her in the bag there, pet her as we go. She's real small. So.
Nice. So, in terms of your training right now, what kind of runs are you on? What?
And are you on a sled, or are you on a snow machine or an ATV?
Once this interview's done, I'm gonna go get on my sled. We got a big dumping last night, so I did my last run in the truck. Yeah, I did the last run in the truck last night. Had to put it in 4x4, and I was just like, "Yep, this is it. Goodbye, little truck. You made it through the season. You're going to sleep for the winter." No, probably not. I'll still use it around. But yeah, we're on sleds now as of today, so I'll probably be packing up here and heading out on the trail for the night.
Oh,
dying
nice.
to
Do
get
a couple runs, maybe a little mini series.
Because that's where I train, like my fall training kind of things, a little tighter of a loop. I don't really get out onto the trail network, so now I'm just like, yeah, let's go. We're just.
Are you going to be doing it with like a 10 or 12 dog team, and then you take them on this, and then you take the other 10 or 12 dog team on a different one another day, or?
Yeah. So I would just come back, redress, regroup, put away, grab, and go again. Yeah.
Are you gonna do you like get a nap in there maybe? Or
Oh yeah, tons of naps.
Okay.
I nap all the time, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'll be
I
up
would
all
imagine.
night long, but like I'll nap when the sun comes up, do a little bit of work during the day, have another little nap, wake up, do the night shift. Have a
That
little
is
nap.
something I've noticed, that mushers are, when I remember we'd show up to a race with Jeff and he'd be like, yeah, it'll be like 20 minutes until the veterinarians can go and check your team. Then he'd just be like, boom, 15-minute nap, boom,
Yeah,
and then ready off.
yeah. When it's like nighttime and you know what I mean, like everybody else goes to, that's when I can't sleep, right? That's when I'm like, there's a million things to do. How am I supposed to lay down and commit 10 hours to a sleep right now?
So when you change to a sled, like, are you? I mean, I'm sure you're just like elated, excited, and then. Do you think the dogs clearly there's a vibe change too? I bet,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. I got these little training carts. Like I got some carts that are super cool and fun. I know the dogs like those, but I hate training on a quad. I can't stand it. And I don't think the dogs like it either. Yeah, my thumb. So being in the truck, oh my God, it's been so nice. That was the best $300 I ever spent. So
a $300 truck, dude, that's a winner right there.
You can't get a quad. Like you look at any old beat up quad that you want to get, they're like $2,800 or, but you can get an old truck that the transmission's blown, but it only got first or second gear. But that's just fine. I don't need anything more than that.
Nice. I know you're jamming to some music in there, dude. What are you listening to?
There's like a big span of like everything, right? Like there'll be Johnny Cash on there, and then it'll be like some Wu-Tang Clan or Biggie Smalls, and then with some Mountain Head, right? And then just a good mix of everything in there, and then some old rock, some country too, right? But audiobooks, a lot of audiobooks too. Crush audiobooks like Stephen King, like horror books and stuff, right? Keeps me awake and on my toes out there, like really quick in the corners.
Yeah, you're like sitting looking around like, shit, what is around that corner? Yes. Yeah, that's Stephen King. I would think with the vibe of Stephen King, I feel like would match well with Mushing Through the Night.
Yeah, so but in the truck, it's awesome for that. You got speakers, you got heat, you got windshields, you got windshield wipers. Like side-by-sides don't come with that. I was looking at pricing them out too. That's crazy. Spend a lot of money, you don't even get a windshield.
Dude, honestly, you're like preaching right now, dude. This is like, you're making some really good points, and I feel kind of.
Yeah,
I guess like you have some
super 2.5 foot bed for $14,000, or you spend $1,400 and you get 8 foot bed, right?
Yeah, I guess you do have the you do need like these incredibly wide trails to be able to put
like the quarter ton, right? Like those little small trucks, like they're not much wider than an ATV, like in the side, right? Like, yeah, like it's a little tiny truck, like.
Yeah, it's like tall, like it's like 5 feet tall or like 5.5 feet
tall.
Like one of those.
Just little tiny. Yeah, it's perfect.
Those are. Yeah, I feel like when I go to Central and South America, like those are the trucks.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I'm in the jungle, like
Yeah.
Yeah, those things do anything in first gear.
The 450, you've done that one time, correct?
Yeah, last year.
And then. Outside of that, like how long have you gone? I'm thinking about the Iditarod. I'm thinking about 1,000 miles. We talked about earlier how you've never been in a race without a handler. So I'm just kind of like thinking about all of that, like where your head's at as it relates to, all of that,
Oh, so the Percy, you don't get a handler in the Percy, but that's a shorter race, right? Yeah, like so 450 is like the furthest I've done, and then I got a Yukon Quest 200, a Yukon Quest 300, couple Caledonia Classic 200s that are raced in BC, and then a Canadian Challenge. So I don't know. I think like the main thing for me was, and I've talked to a lot of other mushers that have kind of confirmed this, is like that 300-mile mark. Once you're getting past that 300-mile mark, like you kind of see the dogs hit their, let's say, second wind, right? And you kind of hit a second wind. I'm hoping too. But yeah, I don't know. My headlamp died in that 450, and like I totally crashed mentally. Like I was really beating myself up. I was upset about it, sitting there waiting for daylight. I was just distraught. And then I was like, hold on, wait. Like, I was out here with my dogs. Like we're still just having fun, right? Like you just got in your head a little bit too much through there. You know, we came out of it, and yeah, it was nice to kind of see that and feel that and be like, oh, okay, so yeah, you did get lost in it, and you got all upset, and you know, you realized it and got happy again and kept moving. So, right. And I think that was like some of the most important training I could do in myself mentally, because the dogs are great. I'm always the weakest link out there. So I just need to make sure that I'm in check in order to keep them in check. Right.
Nice.
Yeah. The emotional aspect, I think, I don't know. I thought from my perspective, and I think from anyone's, you're just so sensitive to like adversity after you get, that sleep deprivation. And of course, I guess cold plays a role, but really it's ultimately that sleep deprivation, and you just can spiral into like a negative headspace pretty easily.
That's where I went, right? I'm just like, oh, my headlamps are out. Like I don't know how to fix these electronics. I was like, right. It's like the only thing I can do is sit here and wait until daylight and then continue on. And I was like, man, I was just so upset. I was like, this is out of my control. Like, why? I was like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's out of your control. Just calm down.
How has your experience been, or what has your experience been with sleep deprivation in some of those longer?
You do, like, it does affect you, definitely, right? Like, things are really hard, but if you have a system where you're super organized and you know where everything is, and you're never going to have to look for something. It's like just second nature that you know where everything is in that sled bag, you know where everything is in your drop bag. Like, I find that really helps. And then, yeah, the audiobooks, I like listening to the audiobooks, kind of gets me into a story and keeps my brain thinking instead of just like lulling off into nonsense land, right? So
so you have you had hallucinations out there and stuff, or not so much?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've had hallucinations there. And then growing up in my 20s, I worked in the oil field, like, doing services and stuff like that, so sleep deprivation was like huge in that job, like, insanely long shifts and stuff like that. And so I've always kind of been living in that world of sleep deprivation and snow removal and stuff like that. You're always up during the night, and I'm always up during the night. So yeah, and then like you get used to the hallucinations. I think they might catch you off guard when they first start, maybe, but then after that, you just know they're hallucinations.
Right.
You gotta sleep though. Sleep's key. Sleep's key. I'm trying to sleep.
It's just as important as taking care of the dogs. I get sucked up into the social scene of these races sometimes when I was participating in them, and I'm like, oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah, I find that is too, right? You get to the checkpoint, everyone's all chatty, and there's food and coffee.
Right. Someone's like serving me a burger, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you know, but I'm actually one of the mushers. Yeah. I'm in the race. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty tough trail, and they're looking at me like, yeah, I don't, who are you again? And
well, you get the burger for free, right? You got to remember.
you get the burger for free.
Those burgers get expensive out in those parts.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. Yeah. So when you did the 450, I've never done a race that's, in that distance. Is kind of unique. There's only a couple of them. The Kobuk being another one. And I believe the Yukon Quest Alaska might have something similar.
And then Hudson Bay Quest was like a 400 or a 450 too.
That's like East Coast Canada?
Yeah, Central, East, yeah, Hudson Bay Lowland.
Crazy. That's a whole scene that I'm completely unaware of, and you just rocked my world with that stat. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We'll bookmark that. But like did you see that like shift in your dogs? Like it's not like the dogs know the distance of the race, you know, like did you see the shift of that 300-mile? Some people it might happen at mile 400, some people it might happen at mile 250, whatever. But like that change in the second wind and the metabolism change and the, you know, just like the whole rhythm of everything shift from at that distance. Did you see that?
Yeah, I definitely did. I'm not sure exactly like when abouts it happened. Like we left Pelly and had like a really long, sloggy, slow, soft run. And like, there's not many dog teams that like that kind of stuff, especially when it was hot. And I was like, but then like, saw them just go right up from there, right? As soon as it got cold again, I really saw them just pick up, and their appetite was beautiful the whole race. So I didn't notice anything different about that. But yeah, I just saw them settle into this kind of nice pace and rhythm of the camp and the eat and the run. And it was, I really I kind of wish we were keeping going there, but I was happy enough to stay in Dawson.
Yeah, I'm sure that wasn't the worst thing.
No.
And so like when you have those long, soft trails, heat of the day, it's in the 20s or 30s or whatever, you know, do you think that the dogs are like, they're self-regulating, you know, they're not like, if you went like mile 0 and you started the race, maybe they're not doing the self-regulating that much because they're very well rested and way too stoked. But you get in the middle of the race, you get these warm runs on a soft trail, and per mile, it's more difficult for your dogs. That's like undeniable. But they are also kind of turning down the RPMs a little bit.
Yeah.
Like we can't sustain 5,000 RPMs for 50 miles. So why don't we just accept the fact that we're going 6 miles an hour and just move along? And if it takes an extra hour or two, whatever, you know, is that kind of what your experience is? Yeah,
I think it's nature. I think that's the way anything's going to go and do it. Right. And that's what I can see from them. And I definitely just let them do their own thing. Like when we're in conditions like that. Right. And like, you guys want to stop for a pee break? I don't know. You know best. Sure. Stop for a pee break, eat some snow, man. Like you're the ones working. I'm good back here, but you guys need to stop and eat some snow. Right. So yeah,
and
I just give them.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that you're going to want to like ask more of them. Like, do you ever really call them up or whatever? Like maybe at the end, but like, you know, probably just kind of like be cool with, hey, if you guys need like a warm up hour at the beginning of the run, just like, all right, we'll just kind of warm up and you can take your
I'll call them up somewhere. Like if we got to get out of an area or something like that, you know what I mean? I can see the weather's picking up or something. And it's like, guys, we got 5 miles left up in this high stuff. Let's just get through it and get the hell out of here before it turns into 3 hours of getting out of here. Right. So yeah, in situations like that, I will, but yeah, and then not really in racing ever. No.
In terms of either like visibility or how cold you've been in, just kind of curious.
Wind is always the worst, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've definitely seen lots of like harsh conditions and stuff up here. Some of the craziest stuff I seen probably was back on Great Slave Lake, though. Like that place is just such a big piece of water and open piece of ice, and it can really get windy out there and blizzardy, and there's not any sort of landmarks or anything like that. So definitely seen crazy stuff like that. I'd seen like some pretty extreme colds, but like seen some cool stuff out on Great Slave Lake. Like there's all sorts of harsh conditions and stuff, but sometimes you just run across some stuff that's like wildly beautiful out there. And I was far enough from shore that I couldn't see like the tree line or nothing like that. And the wind had swept most of the snow off the ice. So it was just like a sheet of black ice, and the sky was black, but like the northern lights were out really, really strong and they're reflecting off the ice. And so I couldn't really tell the difference between the ice and the sky. And it just looked like the dogs were running through Yeah, it was really disorientating. You almost wanted to fall off your sled. You couldn't. It was really wild. That was crazier than any sort of hallucination or sleep deprivation that you could get.
It's like natural hallucinating without the drugs or the sleep deprivation needed.
Yeah, it was like the bottom dropped out. It was like the bottom dropped out of the world, and you're just.
Wow,
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I had a somewhat similar but different experience, but where you're just like in a ping pong ball, and I was out on Lake Louise, and it was just like it was just white, but it wasn't like blowing. It was just calm and white everywhere, and clouds, and it's like it just looked like we were inside of a ping pong ball, and there was like no difference between the horizon line. There was no, it's just white everywhere. And you're like, what is going on? And I was sleep deprived as well. So it's like that sounds sick. That mushing on glare ice, like sometimes it's a shit show, but most of the time, if you got a good team and in the right situation, it's going well. And it's like a super crazy experience to be like on ice, moving with your dog team like that. It's like, that's a special, you don't get to do that. The conditions aren't like that often.
No, it's not like you'd ever go out searching for them or anything either, right? It was just right time, right place, and weirdness. And it was.
Curious about what your race schedule is going into the season.
I got the Yukon Quest 450 again. So we're going to go back up to Dawson City from Whitehorse. And then the Iditarod.
Nice. So cool. Okay.
Yeah. So
you're going to be, all your training is just kind of like long distance training. You're not going to be going fast and doing anything quick. Dude,
the Brayburn, by the way, I don't know, that restaurant, that lodge there or whatever, the food was, I remember having just like a Cinnabon the size of double the size of my face.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I'm excited for you. Like I would, that would be just as much of a motivator to be in that race.
Oh yeah, it's one of like the like the main.
Nice. And then I guess the last thing I was curious, like, where's your head at as you are getting ready to think about being in that Iditarod? Like, are you're kind of just trying to survive it, and are you like, do you have like a certain expectation or anything like that, or are you just like, I just want to do it and experience it and have a fun time?
Yeah, I just want to do it like the best way that I possibly can, and right now my head's at just like trying to make sure I stay on top of all the paperwork side of it and everything that needs to have all my ducks in a row. Because I'm happy with where the dogs are at. That's something I do every year is train a dog team, right? Don't run the Iditarod every year though. So I really need to make sure I got all that planned out and drop bags planned out and all that kind of stuff. So that's like,
nice.
Yeah. My main thinking about it right now.
Sean, did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
Nah, man, I think we've taken up plenty of your time. This is the second time we've done this, so I'm really appreciate your patience, man. And I'm looking forward to holler when you're in Anchorage for the rookie meeting or something. I'll buy you a beer.
Oh, perfect. Yeah,
that's where I live. So thank you so much for coming and hanging out, and I hope you enjoy your overnighter tonight.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me, and thank you for doing this. This stuff's a blast, right? I'm probably going to download one of your episodes now to go out and listen to. So,
heck yeah, we appreciate the support.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you guys.